Joining us now is a woman that has represented Australia in 2 different sports, played soccer in the UK, is a gun cricketer and golfer, and has a background in teaching, and is a Sun Bowl champion. Safety kicker for the Florida Avengers in the Women's National Conference over in the States. Number 44, Yanah. Oh, God, I'm going to stuff it over. Floridis.
Yeah, that was a great introduction. You can get a lot from Facebook, I see.
We'll let you run with it. How are you, mate? I told you, as soon as the light comes on, I go to water, worry about what I have to say. But how are you?
Yeah, there
you
you go. Yeah, no, it's good. Thanks for having me, boys. I appreciate it.
Yes, and just our little chats over the past few days. Yeah, you can get quite a lot out of our social media these days. It makes it a lot easier.
Look, you've got to go Bear Grylls, number one.
Nah, our pleasure.
Bear Grylls, he'd have some cracker stories, I think. So, got to go Bear Grylls.
You said to me the other day
that you've
like
seen
a few of our episodes, which is great.
Maybe
good to have some
Tiger
Florida,
Woods.
Florida
I think he'd
fans.
have some really good sort of insight into sports psychology. Like that's a really interesting
but
interesting
you've
field
probably
for me at the
noticed
moment. So
a question
Bear Grylls
that I like
for the
to
cool
start
stories,
with,
Tiger Woods for
just
the
to find out a little
sports
bit about
side.
yourself. There's 3 people.
And then I'd really like to ask Tom Brady what he was thinking. To be honest, like I just want him to spill the tea.
You would have
so for a bit of goss, we'll get Tom Brady at the table as well, just to tie it all together.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yeah. There you go. Just picked at the post. You got to be in it to win it. Yeah. Yeah, so from Brizzy, grew up sort of in the Wynnum area, did school, did uni there. Then I went out bush for about 10 years to start my teaching degree. Came back to Brisbane and I needed a team sport again, just because that's how sort of you meet new people and just to find my groove again in a big city. After living in a rural town for 10 years, I found it a little bit hard to get going in a city.
I love the Bear Grylls one. I grew up watching.
So
I got all the DVDs.
Wanted to join a team sport, and I just wanted to do something I hadn't done before. And I'm kind of a jack of all, master of none. So Gridiron was the only thing I really haven't dabbled in. So
Tom Brady, I don't
know. Gave Griffith Thunder a bit of a go, and I'm really glad I did.
The jar of sand that he was selling. We unfortunately got outbid by about $89,000, but we put a bid in. We were.
Yeah, so as a kid, I was really into my Taekwondo. I started when I was in grade 2.
Exactly right.
I was a little bit of a handful for my parents and my teachers. So martial arts was the natural progression to get me to settle down a little bit. And yeah, it turned out I took to Brisbane. It quite well. And
where you grew up?
Yeah, got all the way to represent Australia a couple times actually, before I was 12 years old. So yeah.
At what level were you representing Australia?
So I was 3rd Dan black belt, and I was lucky enough to, at the time, the World Cup was in Sydney, actually. So all of my sort of international competitions we managed to keep local, which was cool because then all like my family could come. My whole family was into it. It was I come from a Greek background, so one in, all in. So like my uncles, my dad, my cousins, we all did Taekwondo. So it was cool to sort of share that being in Australia. It was around the time of the 2000 Olympics as well. Yeah. And that's when obviously Taekwondo was introduced to the Olympics. So yeah, that was a pretty cool time for me as a youngin'.
It would have been an incredible experience, especially having all your family there and it being in Sydney. at least like all your family could be there to support you.
Yeah, I actually have this photo. It's probably one of my favourite photos in terms of my sporting sort of history. And I came third at this tournament, but I've got like my whole family and lots of people sort of from my club who managed to come and watch as well. And I was this really like little guy, little chubby kid.
Let's not go too deep into it too early.
That's pretty special.
I want to go right back. I mentioned in the starting.
You said you were a jack of all trades. We like to call you a Jill of all trades. Soccer, golf, cricket.
You've represented Australia in 2 different sports. So
look,
the very first sport, I know what it is, but can you share with everyone?
I don't think. I think I'm relatively good at a lot of sports, but not sure I really excel in anything. Probably gridiron, obviously, Taekwondo are the furthest I've ever gone. I'd love my handicap in golf to be a little bit lower, but you know. So I got it down. I got it down to 12 at one point, but then like gridiron took over, and I couldn't play on. Much to the old lady at the club, all their dismay, I couldn't really play in too many comps because I was so sore and I couldn't really move after gridiron. So decided to sort of use golf as a bit of a hobby and really pursue gridiron, but that's going to change, I think, very soon. I think the golf clubs will be more of a highlight. Maybe when I get home, but yeah.
Where'd you get to? Where'd you go?
Yeah, so I've actually been really lucky. There's a university about 5 miles from where I'm living at the moment. I get around on an electric bike. So if I can only really travel 5 miles somewhere, so I can get 5 miles back. Otherwise, I'm pedaling, and it's pretty interesting. So there's a golf course, 5 miles away. And I approached the greenskeeper and I said, look, I'll pick up golf balls. I'll do whatever you want in return if you give me some free golf every now and then. And he was ecstatic with that. So I pick up golf balls at a driving range and I get free golf at a little par 3 golf course. So I play, I play there probably 3 times a week. And then I've recently just been up to Georgia and had a few rounds up there, which was beautiful. They've got some beautiful courses up there.
A lot of the courses over the States, they all seem like, obviously we see what they are, true like the PGA and everything like that, but a lot of courses, they just look phenomenal. Yeah,
I actually went to the Players Player tournament as well, up in Sawgrass, and that was the most amazing golf course I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Like it was, and just watching them smashing their woods down that fair. Yeah, it was a really cool experience as well.
Yeah, lovely. Oh, so we've lost TMac.
Well, we've lost him. We thought it was going to
happen.
He called it. He picked it early.
Yeah. We also saw a little report that you, we're going back a little bit now, but had a shot at the show Gladiators.
Yeah. Wow, that is a long time ago. When they brought the remake back, actually, I thought, I'll have a crack at being a challenger, you know? And I went and lined up, and the first challenge was 100 burpees. So I got out there, I was like, geez, all right, I haven't really trained for this, but let's give it a crack. Did my 100 burpees, and then unfortunately got the jelly legs and took one step when I finished and just collapsed, and the cameras were all in my face. They thought it was hilarious. No. So made it to the next round, but it was chin-ups, and I was completely out after that. I'm too heavy for chin-ups. So. But I made it on the bloopers reel when they were doing the show. I made the bloopers reel of me falling basically on my face.
100 burpees is tough enough as it is, let alone trying to do more stuff after that.
Well, I was a lot younger and probably a little bit more fitter back then. But
besides sports, what other hobbies? Yeah, like obviously you're saying golf, but we'll class it as a sport.
Golf's a sport. I really like to travel, so that's why this sort of adventure to America is just it's really good because I get my football, I get to meet cool people, and I get to travel as well.
For them, what I am is what I'm getting.
So yeah, traveling and camping, probably just being outside.
Oh shit, you're way better than me.
Is when I'm most happy. I think I don't really like being indoors.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite spot at the moment?
In Florida.
Yeah.
Or up in Australia. I haven't really done much camping up here, but From what I've seen so far, Savannah's probably been my favourite place that I've adventured recently. Kansas City was interesting. I went and saw where the Chiefs play. That was pretty cool. That was
Arrowhead?
Yeah. It was like, I remember seeing Grand Canyon for the first time and just going, wow, this is crazy. And I had sort of a similar experience, but on a different level, just going, wow, this is like people actually get to play in this all full up, because we went right to the top as well. And yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah,
you played the last few days.
Feet on the ground as well.
Been out playing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got to go on the field, just on the sideline though, because they were redoing the grass. Got to go in the locker rooms as well. We saw Patrick Mahomes set up. It was nuts. It was like stepping into the future. Everything was automated. Yeah, goals. Goals.
Yeah, which has been phenomenal to see. Like, because for us, obviously, as fans, all we really get to see is the camera angles, but to actually be there and to look up and see the sheer size of it would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I posted photos on Facebook, and I think my family got a little bit confused. They thought that's where I was playing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just had to clarify. That's not where we're playing. Sorry, Mum.
In comparison, like, what's the stadium size that you're playing in?
So we play at high schools usually. Our home field is actually at a university, so it's a little bit bigger. But even the high school stadiums here, they're pretty cool. Like we probably had about 100 people come and watch our first home game. But it was pouring down rain, like torrential rain, our first home game. So the fact that 100 people sort of made it was pretty cool compared to the 6 that we usually sort of get at club games in Australia. The occasional, kids of the mums playing.
Nah, beautiful. For those that are watching, I dropped out, but you two have got this down pat. I'm just going to sit back and watch you two chat all day. You two got it on.
We got it covered, mate.
You got it covered. I found a report when I was looking for you. It was off the Facebook, but a young Yanah attempting to take on the Gladiators.
We hit this already.
Have we? Oh, no.
We hit it.
See, you're all over it. I want to know. What happened?
I don't want to read that. It was embarrassing.
No, you did you actually get on the TV show or not?
No, I applied to be a challenger, but I didn't get through the second round because the first round cooked me. I had to do 100 burpees and I couldn't walk afterwards.
Oh, that's where the burpees... See, I come in as the burpees came back. So I was like, how the fuck did you get on to do 100 burpees? But fair enough. Fair enough.
Like I said, a lot younger.
Danny, I'll just leave it with you. I'll sit back and just so you guys can take over. Danny, it's all yours.
So, teacher by trade, but you're also in the Army Reserve?
Yeah, I wasn't. I'm out now, but yeah, I was in the Army Reserve. That was sort of my part-time job when I was at uni. And then after I finished uni, I did a few years while I was teaching and then decided to give it in. But that was a really cool sort of part of my life. I learnt a lot being in the Army. I think that alongside playing sport really sort of shaped, I guess, who I am and what I value, and sort of, I think, my work ethic as well. I was a little bit spoilt growing up, being, a young Greek girl. I was the youngest in my family. So I was quite spoilt, and I got a very good reality check when I joined the Army at 18.
With the Army Reserve, did you have because you being the Taekwondo background, did the discipline come in and help in any way?
Yeah, it was completely sort of different though. Taekwondo was it's an individual sport. So I feel like I had that sort of individual discipline in terms of my training, and sort of that etiquette, which helped me in the Army. But just having like a whole team, I guess, to rely on you. Like if I made a mistake, which I did on numerous times, I didn't know how to use a washing machine until sort of I went on base, and everyone would get punished for that. So just having that ownership, the fact that your actions impacts sort of everyone really sort of hit home when I was doing my basic training. And yeah, the power of a team was very evident. That was the first time I realised the power of a team, I think.
And we touched on it slightly earlier about you starting Gridiron when you moved back to Brisbane. But what actually drew you to the sport? Because obviously you said you wanted to be part of a team sport, but why?
Yeah, so a good mate of mine, Cody Fuller, actually, who played for Australia as well. She's doing some really good things for Gridiron. She's right into her flag at the moment. She's a real pioneer of the sport, really dedicated to it. She was actually working with me at the time, and we went after school and we actually were having a couple of drinks, sort of a group of us. And I was a bit down in the dumps. I was like, guys, I need to play a sport, but I still want to hit people. What can I play? And everyone was like, how about rugby? I played that. Union? No, I played that. And then Cody whips out her phone and she pulls out footage of her playing Gridiron. And I thought it was fake. I was like, is this even a thing? And she's like, yeah. She pulls out her phone and she showed me some footage. And I was like, sweet, perfect. That's the one. I'll play that. And then I contacted a few clubs and Griffith replied. So I joined sort of mid-season and, yeah, really glad I did. It's an amalgamation of all the sports I've ever played, sort of put into one, really.
How do you go from wanting to hit someone to being the kicker, though?
Well, actually, for Griffith, I was a running back and safety as well. So played sort of both ways. Started off playing just safety while I was learning a little bit about the game. I reckon that's the best position to learn because you get to sort of see everything. And then the next season, I was talking to Amanda Ewers, which was sort of coach player, and she just recommended, do you want to have a crack at running back? That's the best way. Best way to learn defense is to learn offense. So I was like, cool, yeah, I'll give it a go. So played running back that season as well. And yeah, I learnt, I didn't really know the value of the line until I played running back. That was something that I very foolishly overlooked until, I was this little one trying to protect this ball running through this. Thank you, girls. I appreciate you guys. So, yeah.
And then along the journey, you got selected and you played a pretty big role for the Australian Outback over in Finland. That must have been next level.
Yeah, so that's actually the reason why I sort of wanted to come to America in the first place. I actually came in, I think it was 2020, if I remember correctly, when COVID hit. So I was in America when COVID hit. And the reason sort of I wanted to pursue that was to learn more about the game quickly so I could make the Australian team, because we were going through sort of combines at that point. And I think sort of my physical capabilities were there, but my knowledge just wasn't, being such an intricate game. So, yeah, when I actually made that team without having the experience that I wanted in America, I was pretty stoked with that. It's always an honor to represent your country and to have the first, we had the first win ever for a women's Australian Gridiron team. So that was really, really good to be a part of.
What was the selection process like? So you said you had combines, and then how did it progress from there?
Yeah, so we had a combine before COVID, and then everything sort of got delayed. So everything got put on hold, and then after COVID, we had another combine, and so we pretty much submitted all of our scores for those, and every state had their own combine. We couldn't come together as one, obviously, because the COVID sort of restrictions were still pretty large at play at that point. I know a few girls submitted film as well. And then after that, the coaches all got together and selected the team based on that and based on sort of what they knew about us from previous tournaments and things like that.
So what position were you playing when you played for Australia?
I was safety for Australia.
Just safety.
Yeah.
And then you just touched on when you headed to America in 2020, the pandemic kind of hit. How far along of the process did you actually get?
So I was a week before flying to Alabama for our first game. So I'd been there for about a month and a half training, learning the playbook, all of that sort of stuff, getting to know the girls. And then, a week before, I thought it was a joke because they very much downplayed it here in America. It wasn't actually until my boss got on the phone and said, "You better get home or else you're not going to make it home for another year." And then I sort of started to take it seriously because I thought the season was going to go ahead. I thought it was all going to blow over. And then, yeah, it got real very, very quickly. I got the last plane home to Australia, which was like I'm nervous thinking about about it. But yeah, and that was really hard for me coming home, not having achieved what I wanted to achieve through no fault of my own. Like, I'm okay with failure. I think that's the best way to learn. But the fact that was out of my control, it took me a while to wrap my head around. That was kind of hard for me. Yeah,
for sure. But you're back there now, and you're in Florida. Was it ever going to be anywhere but Florida, or was Florida always going to be the one?
No, always going to be the one. I have huge admiration for the coach of the Florida Avengers, Todd Jones. He is not only a good coach, but he's a really good man as well. So my main thing was playing for him. And also there's some girls that were on the team back in 2020 as well that I really wanted to play with and just finish what I started. I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we do get on to how you're going this season and where we're looking, you said you had a win before in torrential rain. It'd be remiss of me not to mention, I said in the start that you're a Sun Bowl winner. So talk us through that. How did you go? Like, what was that kind of experience like?
Yeah, I actually got asked today what one of my proudest moments in sport was, just for some social media content we're doing for the Avengers. And I brought up the Sun Bowl because that was just such a cool experience. The fact that Griffith Thunder I think they'd been trying, maybe it was their fourth year or third year they lost to the Ravens. Don't quote me on that. But this was sort of really special to a few of the girls on that team, a couple of the veterans. And the fact that we could hold them out for the game was really cool. In the last minute of the game, I got put on at corner, which I hadn't played pretty much all season. Coach Kell sort of looked at me and was like, I think we need you on the field. He didn't know why. We've had chats about this all the time. He didn't know why, but he said, I think we need you on there. So he put me on at corner, and the last minute of the game, Christy Moran, the amazing athlete that she is, busted through basically our whole team, ran down the sideline, and I legged it from the other side of the field, and I knocked her out probably a meter before she scooted in the end zone. And we were a touchdown down at that stage. So that was pretty cool. I still look back at that moment and get that sense of pride and feel just really cool about that. And yeah, it was a cool experience. And I have a ring now.
Yeah, I can see that ring. It looks that looks incredible. We should really start to beat that up more and get it into our sports like they do in the States because it looks grouse.
Right, yeah.
So, you say you knocked her out with a minute to go and you were down a touchdown and you won?
Yeah. So we managed to hold them out for the rest of the downs. And, yeah, offense came in, took a knee, and we won. I remember because it was really special in particular for Amanda Ewers. And I remember she just started crying. And I was running back at that point as well. She let me stay on the field. And she just said, don't move. Because she knew I had no idea what I was doing. Don't move. I'm taking your knee. I was like, you're taking a what? Just stand still. Yes, Amanda. And then when we realized we won the game,
when can I move?
She just cried.
Nah, that's awesome.
So I stood like a statue in the backfield just so I didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, when can I officially move? We're good to go now. Yeah, sweet. Let's get on to how you're going this season. Like we said, you're 1-1. You had a good win in the torrential rain at home. How was that? In front of the 103 people that were there? Yeah,
so that was another first, actually. That was Florida Avengers' first win at home. So that was pretty special, especially for the coach. The coach got a little bit teary winning his first game at home, and that's always nice given, the respect that the whole team has for him. So it was really nice to get that done for him. But we actually played Tennessee again. and they came out fighting. So I think game 2 against them is going to be really, really good. But yeah, really proud of the girls for especially the defense. I think we gave up in the whole game just 42 yards, and I think like 23 of them came from one play that they got us over the top. So our defense was just solid as a rock that game. And our offense did really well to punch in a touchdown given the really hard conditions that they were playing in. It was really hard to hold on to that ball.
Yeah, for sure. And you come up against Atlanta Phoenix this week, is that right?
Yes, yep. So another home game.
Was it a 60-0 or something they won?
Thanks for reminding me about that. Yes, as if the anxiety's not high enough already.
That's all right. You just got to bring them back down a peg.
That's right.
You said you had them to 45 yards. Let's try and replicate that this week, I reckon.
Yeah, no, Atlanta's really solid this season. They've done a lot of work on their O, which is going to be really good because we've done a lot of work on our D. So I think we're ready for them. The Florida Avengers are a very different team to what they used to be. They've evolved a lot. The work that they've put in over the past few years has been really noticeable this year in particular, especially coming back, after 2020. They've done a lot of work. So I think we can give them a good run for their money. It's going to be a very hard game. I think it's going to be raining again because it's Florida. If it's not going to be raining, it's going to be very muggy. So we've sort of got the home ground advantage there because that's what we're used to. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I've got one last question for you, and you and Danny seem to have it all under control when I wasn't here, so I'm sure he's got 3 or 4 for you. But before we get onto those, I do want to thank you for giving up your time. I know you put the coach, made him sit at the airport another 45 minutes while you talk to us, which I'm sure will go well when you get dropped this week. But
no, he's the offense coach anyway. We don't worry about him.
Oh, that's it. Don't worry about him. But no, we really do appreciate you giving us some time to talk to us today.
No problem. I'm happy to chat about women's sport. I think it's important to get women's sport out there, and I'm really happy to put Florida Avengers sort of on the map as well because any Aussies looking to come over and sort of do this as well. Florida Avengers is a great team to go to. Really good leadership, really good coaching, and just amazing teammates as well.
Yeah, a team on the rise for sure.
Just on that, with women trying to get into the sport, is there any advice that you'd give to any young aspiring women?
Yeah, I think you just sort of got to pull the trigger and do it. It's not as scary as it looks. It's really actually empowering getting sort of dressed up in your battle gear and putting the helmets and the pads on. There's something really empowering about that. And the sense of sort of the teamwork that comes into gridiron is second. It's not like any other sport I've ever played. I think just because everyone just has a unique role in the team, there is a position for absolutely anyone of any size, of any ability, any skill. So my advice is just to get into it, especially in Australia. Watch gridiron, support it. There's a state of origin going on soon. In Australia, I know Queensland's taking on New South Wales. That's going to be a really, really good game. So yeah, get amongst that and give it a go.
Yeah, for sure. We've there's a small, growing podcast that you could probably get around to that'll that's promoting all these sports. Yeah, good placement there, Danny. Now, you seem to be, especially starting as young as you were, grade 2, I think you said it was, that you were fighting, I guess people will say. But you seem to be a really goal-minded and goal-orientated person. What are the goals for this year and beyond? Are we staying in the States in another couple of seasons, or you said the golf clubs will be coming out at the end of the year?
Yeah, look, I've had a chat to a lot of people about this, and I'm pretty sure this will be my last season of football. I'm 36 now. I'm getting on, and sort of the sacrifices you have to make to do something like this is quite big. I've taken leave from my work. I'm lucky to have a really, really supportive partner at home, who's sort of allowed me to pursue my dreams, and that's really good. But it is hard sort of being away for this amount of time. So yeah, I think I might sort of put gridiron on hold for a little bit, and I really want to get good at golf again. Like, I think that's going to be the next goal I take. I'm really into my cricket as well. I didn't realise I would like cricket. The only reason I joined the cricket team was because they needed players, and I didn't want to see a women's sport team go down purely because of, lack of participation. So, I'll put on some wicketkeeper gloves, I guess, and have a swing. And I ended up really liking that as well. So I think I'm going to move into more of sort of the non-contact region, preserve my body, because I want to be playing sport forever. Like, it's my job, it's my life, it's my hobby, it's my passion. And I'd like to support gridiron sort of from a different perspective now. I've thought about officiating. I'll definitely be supporting all the initiatives that come about promoting women's gridiron as well. So, yeah, I think my next goal will be to help promote from a different lens, and just to get into those non-contact sports, cricket and golf in particular.
So, and that will all be done from back in Australia?
Yes, definitely. So I go back to Australia in June, and then I don't think I'll probably come back to America again, unless, I get a really good offer and maybe win the lottery as well. That would be good. But yeah, back to Australia to focus on Div 2 sports. I think is going to be my game.
Well, you speak quite well, so there could be a fourth spot on our the podcast that you could come on and jump on and be a part of the interview Sunday. Yeah, beautiful. Anytime. I do love that you say you just gave cricket a go, and I saw batting at 7, you made 51 not out. Just have a crack, why not?
Yeah. It turns out swinging a cricket bat is not that dissimilar to swinging a golf club.
Yeah. You do
just
see
don't
all the
get
best.
me to play with a straight bat though. Haven't mastered that craft yet. Yeah. I can hit you a 4, but I can't hit singles yet.
Beautiful. Anything else, Danny? I think that's I've touched on as much as I think. We've gone from one side of the globe to the other, and punching up people and punching burpees and all those kind of things. So it's definitely a journey that was well worth deep diving into. So we really appreciate your time, and wish you all the best this year. If it is the last season, we won't say it is yet, but if it is the last season, we wish you the best for it.
Cool. Thanks, boys. Again, I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you putting some focus on women's gridiron. That's really, really good to see.
We've got a few more in the pipeline, but you are number one to get us started. So thank you very much. We'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, boys.
Shining all the light that you have on the women's sport as well. So thank you.
Anytime.